Welcome to this demonstration of the Spice add-in for PowerPoint. After installing the add-in from Microsoft Store, you will find it on your Home tab over to the right. It will open up as a task pane on the side of your screen. It offers a number of useful functions that we will have a look at in this video. The first function is to insert a map. Pick a map from the list and click the Insert Map button. Maybe you noticed that when you hover over a button, there is a tooltip appearing to guide you as a user when using the add-in features. If you attempt to do something that doesn't work, like aligning shapes with only one shape selected, a message will appear with an explanation. The maps are actually vector graphics, and if you ungroup twice, you have the individual shapes for each geographical region. Next, we will have a look at the alignment function. This is very similar to the native alignment function in PowerPoint, but with the difference that the alignment will always be done based on the role model shape, the shape you select last. When working with positioning of shapes, we also have another function to copy and paste the position from one shape to another. Probably most useful when tidying up between slides. Finally, we have the possibility to swap positions between shapes. This is a quite simple function, but a very useful one. The next function is a bit more complex. This is what we need when we want a recurring agenda throughout the presentation. We start with a text box with our agenda items. Clicking the Add Agenda button will insert a new slide for each line of text. The relevant line will be bolded on each slide to clearly indicate where we are in the presentation. In a real case, we will of course have slides between our agenda slides, so let's just add some of those. The benefit of this function really comes out when we need to update the agenda. Normally we would need to manually update the agenda on each of the slides. But with this special function, we will just make the update on one of the slides. Then we click the Update Agenda button and all slides will reflect the updates made. This will also take care of cases when you add a new item to the agenda. And of course, it also takes care of cases when you reduce the number of items on the agenda. Next, we have a nice little feature to split a text box in separate text boxes. One for each paragraph. As well as merging separate text boxes together. Last, we have the most valuable feature of this add-in. Advanced support for handling footnotes in a presentation. Let's start with a text box where we highlight the text that the footnote belongs to and click Add Footnote. This will insert a placeholder for the footnote that will be updated to an index number when we click the List Footnotes button. This will give all footnotes the correct index and present the current slide's footnotes in the add-in, where they can be edited. Unfortunately, the current APIs don't allow us to give the footnote a superscript formatting, so that needs to be done manually for now. Next we enter the text we want to be associated with the footnote in the form in the add-in. And then we click the Add Footer button. This will add the footer with the footnote description to the base of the slide where we would expect to find it. We can only have one footnote per shape. This has to do with how metadata is structured in PowerPoint. But we can of course have many shapes with footnotes on a slide. In this case, we just copy the text box with the footnote to illustrate the functionality. As we copied the shapes, they will have the same footnote text as the original. We can update it in the add-in text fields. Then we click the Add Footer button to update the footer text field. As you can see, the indexing is updated in both the original text boxes and the footer text field. You can of course have several slides with footnotes. Let's copy this slide to see how it works. First, we need to click the List Footnotes button to get a list of this slide's footnotes. In the list, we see the footnotes of the new slide. The first number in the ID is the index of the footnote, so let's just add some text related to these numbers. Then we click the Add Footer button to insert the updated values to the footer text box. And as you can see, the index numbers are updated for both the text boxes and the footer. But what if we move a text box from one slide to another? Let's have a look. Let's take the last text box from this slide and move it to the other slide. For the footnotes to catch up, we first need to click the List Footnotes button, which will show the list of footnotes of the slide. As you can see, this has already updated the indexing of the footnotes in the text boxes. Not only on the current slide, but also on the other slide. The last thing we need to do is to click the Add Footer button to make sure the change is also reflected in the footer on both slides. You can move and format the footer the way you want it. When updates are made, they will only change the text. Note the formatting or position. The footnotes will also be updated to reflect when text boxes are deleted or slides are moved around. A few final words on Endnotes. Sometimes we want a complete list of all footnotes and sources at the end of a presentation. This is how we can do that. Click the Add Endnotes button to list all footnotes in the presentation. The second digit in the ID represents the slide. So here you can see that you have footnotes from both slides in the list. You can make updates to the values at this point. But if you do, please remember to click the Add Footer button to have the updates applied on all the related slides. Finally, we click the Add Endnotes button to have add a text box with the complete list of footnotes to the slide. You can format the endnotes the way you want them. Updates will only affect the text, not the formatting or position. That's all for now. We hope you will enjoy the Spice add-in.